Hello, everyone. I just went to see Into the Woods at Fifth Avenue Theater in Seattle. I have a subscription to the whole season with my friend Matt, and it was lovely. As you can see, I'm dressed a bit like Little Red Riding Hood, um, even complete with pigtails. Um, so even though it does not match at all, I did record a song from the musical that I'll be uploading alongside this review, and it's of agony. It's a duet between the two princes. It's great. And then, like in the film version, it's Chris Pine is one of them, and he just hams it up so much. Um, but it's hard to compete with the casting of the movie with Meryl Streep and Chris Pine being in it. James Corden, not so much. But Fifth Ave always knocks it out of the park. The narrator that they got was just like a seasoned Fifth Avenue actor. She's been so great. She was in Afterwards. She was amazing. So she was narrator, and she also played oh, I can't say that spoils the thing. So I'll just say she played narrator in one other part. And then you had the baker and the baker's wife. Little Red Riding Hood was played by someone who, I guess it was her Fifth Avenue debut. And she was so good. She had the perfect, she struck the perfect balance between kind of just obnoxious, but like not so obnoxious that you hoped something bad would happen to her. But of course she's Little Red Riding Hood, so you know that some of her fate is not great, at least up until the end. You know, there is the great scene of her meeting the wolf and him singing something about how wonderful it is to meeting your meal, and I'm like, oh, sociopath. Okay, um, but he gets his in the end, I suppose. And then the baker and the baker's wife, they want to have a kid, but they are barren because the witch has put a spell on them from long ago, and they have to lift the spell, and they have to get a bunch of items, some MacGuffins, as they say. Um, and then you have, of course, Jack and the cow that he has to sell, which leads to Jack and the Beanstalk, which interweaves with the baker and his wife. And then there's Cinderella. And one of the things the Fifth Ave did that at first I wasn't sure how to feel about was they did very modern costuming. So instead of like sticking straight to the fairy tales, they did like the wicked stepsisters of Cinderella were in like these 1990s or early 2000s like mean girl outfits. Like you'd see in Clueless or Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion, um, which was also done as a musical at the Fifth and done very well. But that was many years ago. So we have Cinderella. I love One of the things I like about Into the Woods is Cinderella is so much more reluctant than she would have been like in the Disney films. Like she definitely runs for the prince for more than just the whole pumpkin reason. She like runs from him because she's like kind of ambiguous about the whole being with the prince thing. Um, and then there's Rapunzel, and she's always singing this like song, and the witch is, locking her in the tower. And then you had the two princes that were one after Cinderella and one after Rapunzel. And then I love the song Agony, so that's what I sang in the other video. It was well done. And then as far as my hesitation about the costuming at first is it really grew on me. I started to really love the like modern costuming details. We also had the two princes were dressed in like different they were color blocked but in opposing ways. So one of them had the Cinderella's prince had a red suit with like a blue shirt underneath, and then Rapunzel's prince had a blue suit with a red shirt underneath, and they were playing like relatives, as princes often are. And it was just so funny because they were hamming it up so much. Like in the second act, the prince has some line about, well, I was raised to be charming, not sincere. Like, oh, okay, that got a pretty big laugh. The first act feels so final, like it finishes the first act that you think the whole play is over. And I guess with some of the younger audiences, sometimes they do just show them the first act. It's so much more morally clear. There's nothing morally ambiguous about the way the first act ends. So when it came time for intermission, there were actually staff members at the Fifth Ave saying, the show's not over, it's just intermission, there's more. And then you saw some people like, oh, okay, because they were ready to leave because they thought the whole show was over because it was all wrapped up so neatly. But the second act of Into the Woods is a lot more about the moral ambiguity, like what becomes of the widows of the villains that you've slain, like what happens next. So, and do all the marriages work out perfectly? The happily ever afters, are they happy? So, and what's it like now that two people who wish to be parents are now parents? I guess that's a bit of a spoiler, but not if you know much about fairy tales. Like, it, as far as the baker and the baker's wife wanting to conceive, like in the sense of fairy tales, it really wouldn't be much of a story worth telling if they didn't actually get their wish. But with a lot of twists and turns along the way. But sorry if that was too much of a spoiler. Yeah, so I think it's worth seeing. It's very good. The Fifth Ave never disappoints. The Fifth Ave is very good at doing musicals, and that's all they do is musicals, and they're very good at it. Um, like really amazing performances, acting wise, singing wise, so good. Um, I had a few songs that I could have picked to sing. Um, You Are Not Alone was one of them, or some. I think that's the name of it. You're Not Alone. I think. But I tried to sing that and I realized like, oh, that's not. It's not really the song I want to sing, and it has to be a duet. That's not as fun as the Agony duet. So I used Clark's on Stage and did. He does so many good like setups for duets where he sings one part and then lets you sing the other part. So I did another good old duet with Clark's on Stage, and or Clark on Stage. I always say Clark's on Stage. It's Clark on Stage. And so I did Agony, but I had something that I had bought in the gift shop, which is this little crown, this little tiara. Oh, like a little dinglebobbies, whatever you call it. Anyway, it's so rare that I have pigtails. This is just such a weird look for me. Um, but anyway, I appreciate that I have that ability to go with my best friend to see musicals several times a year at the Fifth Ave, and my husband tagged along as well. The next play is Sweeney Todd, so I will actually not be going because I am easily scared, and my husband might be going without me. Actually, my best friend's definitely going, and my husband might go without me, and I'll just stay at home watching things that are not scary. Um, and then later there will be Les Mis and Les Miserables. Les Mis is scary and dark, but like not to the level of horror that Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd, Demon Barber of Fleet Street is straight up horror, just horror. It's great music, it's good plot, but it's too horrifically horror filled. Whereas Les Mis is just a drama, so people die a lot, and there's a lot of violence in it and a lot of darkness, but it's not meant to be straight up horror. It's not like there are murderers who are just murderers to be murderers. There's like people in war who are killing people because it's wartime, or like Valjean versus Javert is like he's the prisoner and he's the guy, the prison keeper, whatever they're called, chasing after him. So like that's much more clear cut than like Sweeney Todd. That's just like, I'm a barber and I want to kill people. And I know it's like more complicated than that. He has like a whole backstory and a reason for killing people, but it's not like Les Mis where it's more about the drama and some of the romance and some of the politics of the French Revolution and all of that stuff. And it's not so much just meant to be there to scare you like Sweeney Todd is. Sweeney Todd, though, well written, great music, too scary for Esther. Les Mis is great. I will see Les Mis all day, but not Sweeney Todd. Never again. Why did I go to the movie? That's the real question. I had to like the whole time I was watching the movie I was like this, or looking at my shoes. So I was like I could have just gotten the soundtrack and called it a day. But no, I went to the movie like a silly goose that I am. So I shall not be going to the play because the play is scary. And but yes, definitely if you like Sweeney Todd or you like scary stuff, go see Sweeney Todd at Fifth Ave because Fifth Ave does an amazing job every time. But I will be going to Les Mis and skipping Sweeney Todd. Anyway, this whole video was supposed to be about Into the Woods. So yeah, go see Into the Woods at Fifth Ave. because that it won't be forever. It's on now. All right, and I'll post the other video as well. Bye.